Hey guys, it's Bree. I hope you have had a fantastic start to your week. We're gonna talk A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. So A Court of Thorns and Roses is the predecessor to A Court of Mist and Fury, which are both by Sarah J. Maas. Sarah J. Maas's second book in this series is up for the BookTube SFF Awards this year. And my opinion is probably going to be less than popular. Sorry. Court of Thorns and Roses follows a girl named Feyre. And Feyre lives basically in a cottage in the woods with her father and her two sisters. Her father has given up on providing for the family. He is in a deep depression. Her sisters are, at the very least, surface level petty. And Feyre's the only one taking care of them. She goes hunting in the woods every day and tries to provide for their needs, all on her own at something like 15. She's been doing it for a while and feels a lot of responsibility for her family. So when she's out in the woods and she sees a gigantic wolf, she shoots it. Problem being that that wolf is a fae, and there's a tentative truce between the humans and the fae. They both stay on their side of the wall, except for in the forest where the boundaries are a little bit more blurred. Feyre is accused of murdering the fae, and another fae, a high lord, takes her off to his realm, the Spring Court. And there, with this high lord Tamlin, she is sentenced to live her whole life in the fae realm. Oh, this book. I'm gonna preface this by saying I think this is a really fun light read. It's total absolute popcorn fiction. It goes real fast, it reads really lightly, and you don't have to think too much to get into it. At the same time, I had a lot of problems with this book, with the character development and the plot development and the major thematic points of the book. I did actually enjoy a good chunk of this. It made me have those same feelings that I had in high school or college or last weekend when I was reading Harry Potter fan fiction, and like, it's total bubblegum stuff, right? Like, I can read it and know that it's problematic and ridiculous and outrageous, but it's totally just for fun and light, and I'm not going to think about it again after. That being said, this is not terribly well constructed. The characters are all two-dimensional. Feyre's siblings really get very little thought and development. Her father is pretty flat, and Feyre herself is really only motivated by a supposed vow that she made to her dying mother, who she didn't like, so it's not entirely clear why she feels so strongly that she needs to keep this vow. There's kind of this hand waving at your promises are what make you, but nothing that actually makes it feel like that is true to their culture or their world. Tamlin, the High Lord who winds up kind of taking Feyre away, comes to her house and breaks in and basically is like, I'm gonna kill you, and then with no explanation, at a total turn of the hat, is like, I'm gonna keep you at my house. With just no explanation or foreshadowing. It's not well developed, and it's not clear what his motive is or that he has any kind of a sense of mercy for her. Once she goes to his house and kind of stays in his court, there's a bunch of intrigue that is supposed to be revealed, including a like super sexy secret Beltane knight and like a mysterious queen of the fae who's like ruining everyone's life and eating all the steak. But none of this feels like it's really well foreshadowed or thought out. A lot of times it feels just like that first scene where Tamlin takes Feyre away. where it's just kind of like all of a sudden we're tossing in another element because we can, and we need the book to last another 50 pages. That kind of builds into the same thing. So there's no real clear motivation for the characters, there's no real emotional development, but there's also no real plot development. The plot kind of just happens, and like something will happen and it has no real impact on the plot overall, or it will not really be foreshadowed. There's a lot, I think, to be desired in that particular aspect. The world building's fairly light. There's just not a lot to it. You don't find out much about the Fae race. You don't really find out much about the world they live in. There's some kind of like hand waving at celebrations that they have, but nothing really like, here's what makes this culture, here's what makes this world unique among kind of fantasy worlds. And in fact, I think that really leads into my biggest problem with this, aside from the philosophical one that I'll talk about in a second. But it just kind of feels like Sarah J. Maas is going with some tropes, but not trying to do them particularly well and not trying to subvert them. I love tropes. I love people playing with them. If you're going to do a trope really well, I am all about it. If you're going to subvert a trope, I am all about it. But just having tropes because they exist and not really doing anything special with them feels really like nothing special. Like, why should I like that? Combined with the lack of character development and the kind of shaky plot development, I wasn't terribly impressed. On top of that, it has a really big, for me, philosophical problem, which is that Faye falls in love with her captor. And it is glamorized and idealized, and there is no thinking about some of the terrible manipulative things that he does, that she knows are terrible and horrible lies that he's told her, that she knows are ways that he's manipulated her to get her to stay with him, to get things that he has done to increase his power that have taken absolute advantage of her, and there's no second thought about it. And that, for me, is a real big problem, especially in books marketed towards younger readers, because for me, a 15-year-old who picks up this book is going to see this relationship and think it's beautiful and romantic. And there's no one in the book or in their life necessarily who's going to say, hey, let's really think through what this guy just did and how it would make you feel. There's no self-reflection on Maas's part. There is no critical dialogue about it. Her character just has a couple Bella Swan moments, right? Like, just sees this manipulative dude and is like, oh, he's so handsome and he loves me. And I don't buy it. Maybe that's me just not being able to get past it, but I just, stuff like that doesn't do it for me. And in fact, it's enough of a thing that I'm not going to get over in a book. Again, like, it's super fun. It reminds me of every Draco Malfoy as Vila story, right? Where he like takes his supposed mate away and then they have to live together forever and she can never escape. And trust me, I can truly, thoroughly enjoy those. But they're total popcorn. Worse than popcorn. They're like jelly beans, right? You can only have so much before your teeth hurt and before they make you sick to your stomach. Popcorn, at least you can have a whole damn bag. But I did enjoy some parts of it. It just was something that left me feeling extremely lacking. If you have read A Court of Thorns and Roses, please let me know what you think of it, particularly if you're a younger reader, someone who is under the age of, say, 21. I'm really interested to see how this appeals, because I know it's been really, really popular, and I know that some of this is me having been through difficult relationships and being like, dude, red flag. So it's interesting to me. I would love to get a diverse set of opinions. You know the drill. Comment, like, and subscribe. I hope you are having a fantastic start to your week, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.